What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with the Page, and today I'm going to be doing recommendations to Animal Crossing characters. Now I do know there is an Animal Crossing tag, as well as this is not an original idea. It's been floating around the booksphere, especially last year when Animal Crossing was first released. So I will leave a link to any videos that I've personally watched and really enjoyed. But what I've done is I've taken 10 Animal Crossing villages that I really adore. Not all of them are my favorites, but the problem with my favorites is they're all the lazy type. So that was going to get very repetitive, so I've shaken it up a little bit. My first and my last on this list are my top 2 favorite characters, and I adore them. Let's dive in and get some recommendations to these characters. My favorite character of all time in Animal Crossing is Bob, and he's a lazy cat. For Bob, I'm going to recommend Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. This is a glorious graphic novel that is just so funny, and I feel like it's right up Bob's alley. It's chilled, it's relaxed, it's hilarious, and it just gives you a good vibe. She's also a shapeshifter, so I think Bob would definitely jive with that and just have a good time. I've also kept it short because my lazy characters, I know they're not big readers. So to encourage them, I've got lots of fun little ones to help them on their way. The next character I've got is Frobert, and he's an adorable little jock frog. So for Frobert, I'm recommending The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. One, because he can use these as weights doing the entire trilogy, and 2, there's enough to keep him going. He's going to run a marathon trying to read these books, and it's going to be great. I think he will really enjoy them and get behind the whole action, being able to project yourself and go around and just have a good time. And I think he will be really intrigued by this, so that's why I'm recommending this to Frobert. So next up is Stitches, and here's my birthday character. So we share the same birthday, which is the 10th of February, and so I thought I would recommend him something that's close to my heart, that is also quick to get through, and is just a ball of fun. And so I'm going with Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. I'm sorry for butchering that pronunciation, please forgive me. I also thought this would be hilarious because they have to stitch themselves back together. Anyway, so this is following Al and Edward as they travel across the country. They're trying to figure out how to get themselves back to normal because they have dabbled in the arts of alchemy. Next up we have Muffy, and she was one of my OGs. Now her personality is the sister type, and she's a sheep. So she's also got a little bit of a gothic vibe going, so I figured I'd go with My Sister the Serial Killer by Omnicom Brathwaite. So this is following Corriday. Her sister keeps killing people, her boyfriends, and after the 3rd time, Corriday's getting a bit sus, and her sister now has a crush on her crush. So it's a really interesting exploration of family dynamics. I gave it a 3.5 rating, but I do know it's quite popular, and I think Muffy would really enjoy this. Next up we have Beau, and he's a lazy deer, and he's also one of my top favorites. I have to have him on every island that I have, or community, any Animal Crossing game, he's there. So I've gone with a fun adventure that has illustrations, and I've gone with Frostart by Jamie Littler. So I think Frostart is perfect for Beau. One, because it's cold and he's a deer, and sort of hinted at that he could be a reindeer, and I think that's awesome. Also, the illustrations in this are amazing, so I think he would really enjoy it. It also is a faster read, especially being a middle grade. I think he will just eat it all up and have as much fun reading this as I did. Next up we have Ketchup, and she is a peppy duck. I had her on my island when I first got New Horizons, and I wasn't in love with her, and then she asked to leave, and I realized I'd fallen in love with her and I couldn't let her go. For Ketchup, Peppy had me leaning more towards a fun romance that, you know, had a little bit of seriousness to it, just the sort of vibes that was fun, wholesome, but also not quite innocent. And I went with Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I recently read this and have absolutely fallen in love with it. So I think this would be the perfect recommendation for Ketchup. She can have a little bit of steam, have a little bit of fun, have a lot of romance, and yeah, and I think it's just a really wholesome read that she would appreciate. Next up we have June, who's a normal cub. So I wanted to go with something pretty chill, nothing too strenuous, either a contemporary or a light fantasy. And so Ash pointed out I should have gone with Planet the Cave Bear, but that's a chonky monkey, and like, I don't think June would necessarily want to be committing that much time to it. I think she would want something a little bit smaller, just a little bit lighter. So I ended up going with The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson. I really adored this, and I think June would absolutely love it. I think being a little bear, she'll be like, oh look, and just have so much fun reading this. And that's what I want for my characters, is for them to enjoy what they're reading. So I think she would definitely appreciate this. It is also a middle grade, and it's just a beautiful book, so I think she would definitely appreciate what it has to offer. Also the irony of that. Next up we have Static, who is a cranky squirrel, and I love Static with all my heart and soul. He's probably in my top 5. But I struggled coming up to think of cranky old men or characters that were just like, no. I did think of Kings of the Wild, but then I was like, I don't really think that's Static's vibe. Then I remembered I read I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young, I think it is. And whilst I didn't particularly enjoy the graphic novels, I think Static would love them. They're gory, they're cranky, they're just this little girl that's stuck in fairyland and she can't break out because she's not smart enough to solve the quest. So she goes on a murderous rampage. How would that not fit for Static? It's vibrant in its color scheme and just absolutely so whacked out that I think Static would absolutely adore it. Speaking of whacked out, my next character is Biscuit. Now, Biscuit is a lazy dog, and a lot of people are really off-put by him because of his like white eyes. I see Biscuit as a stoner, and I feel like he would also really appreciate I Hate Fairyland. Like, it was very close between the two. But Biscuit, I think, would also enjoy Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. The descriptions in this, the like evilness in it, the love in it, just the food descriptions in it, I think he will absolutely adore. It's short and it's quick for them to be able to get through, and I can just see him having a wonderful time with this. So this is my recommendation for Biscuit. My final character, who is also one of my favorites, is Roald, which is kind of ironic since my last author was Roald Dahl. And I think that is why, like, a part of the reason why he's one of my favorites, but also because he's just glorious. Again, a lot of people are off-put of him, mostly because of the eyes, but for him, I'm recommending the entire Game of Thrones series. 1, this is weights, so he can work out while he's reading it. 2, it's cold, because winter is coming, and he's a penguin. And 3, I think he would just really enjoy marathoning this series and trying to get through all of them and just rising to the challenge that this is. My arm is fucking dying. So these are just some of my recommendations for my Animal Crossing characters. Let me know in the comments if you do play Animal Crossing, and if you do, who's your favourite character and what's a book that you would recommend them. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!